Purchase new wiper blades from O'Reilly Auto Parts today and we'll install them for free. See better and drive safer with O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Auto Parts.
And now, Hangar 56 Media presents Spike's Car Radio, a downloadable cars and coffee, hosted by writer, comedian, and automotive enthusiast Spike Ferriston. Now, here's Spike.
Where do I go? Follow the river. Where do I go? Follow the gulls. Where is the something?
You gotta be wondering why I am playing that song.
That tells me why I live and die.
Where do I go? From the Broadway musical Hair. And I'll tell you why I'm playing this song, because it's a weird memory I have. I was in the ninth grade. It was about the first week of the ninth grade, and we were all brought to the auditorium, the entire ninth grade, and introduced to the new drama teachers. And then they very quickly said, we're putting on a play. Hear this song right here. We're going to put a play on. You ninth graders are going to be part of it. And I don't know if you remember ninth grade. Ninth grade, there was a lot of abuse. And the idea of getting up on stage in front of the entire school, really a horrible idea. And the teacher said, we need to find people to be in this play. And they played this song, Where Do I Go, on the piano. And they said, who out there would like to sing this song? And every kid sank down in their seats, and something inexplicable happened. I raised my hand. And they said, "You come up here. What's your name?" I said, "Michael Ferriston." And I walked along the side of the stage, and I stood up on the stage next to the piano, and in my head I was going, what am I doing here? I have no singing experience. I'd only been, as you know, singing in the church choir, and even that wasn't going well because I brought my electric guitar in and was doing Jimi Hendrix solos for the church songs and got in trouble with the priest. And he starts playing the song, and I sang it. This song right here. Where do I go? And I sang the entire song. The song ended, and it was dead silent. And then there was a lot of applause. Everybody started applauding, and the drama teacher said, "You are our male lead. Do you want to be the male lead?" And I looked out, and I said, "I do." I didn't know what a male lead was. I thought I would be leading people to their seats, but I said, "I'll be the male lead." Joyce Grippin came and sang a song, and she said, "You're the female lead." And I said, "This is great. I love Joyce. She and I are going to move furniture around this set. We're going to have a good time." And after everybody left, the teacher said, "We'll see you Saturday for rehearsals." And I said, "For what?" I go, "You're the star of the play." What play? I hadn't even been listening. Razzle Dazzle 'em is the name of the play, and you're the star. You have 7 songs to sing, and we'll see you Saturday morning. What a schmuck, as Zuckerman is saying here. These guys are down. Well, I sang that song. I did that play. I don't remember any of it, and thank God there aren't video cameras and weren't back then, because in my mind, I remember it as I was Kristen Chenoweth. I was up there just belting this song out like a Broadway star, but I guarantee you it was bad. But it went so well, they sent us to this. They sent us to the local drama competition very soon after, and we went there to compete against other schools. And on a Saturday we performed, and probably the best performance we've ever had. And walked off stage, and this girl from another school came right up to me, put her finger in my face, and she goes, "You think you're so great?" And I said, "What?" "You think you're so great, and I know it." She walked away, and I went, "Fuck this." It was like those Rebel Wilson Pitch Perfect movies. I don't want this. I know how to handle that on a baseball field. I don't know what just happened to me, but I am done with drama.
What a great introduction to show business you had.
And now she's 57.
All the elements in one tight package. That's what you had. You said yes to a job you didn't understand. You did it poorly. People loved it, and yet you were humiliated in the end.
You think you're so great.
That story had it all. And that's how I learned show business.
And that's it. That's it. That's why. I don't know why I continued on with show business after that, but I did different things.
There's nothing left to experience.
Anyway, that's Jerry Seinfeld. So happy to have you back, Jerry, and Zuckerman here. We're at Baldwin Hills. It's Saturday night. We just had some pizza. I'm going to light up a cigar. And
Boy, people would love if they could listen to the show on Saturday night, because that's when they're really looking for something.
Right.
By the way, no big secret. Why do you think SNL has been around 50 years? It's Saturday night. Everybody's sitting around bored, and they're going to do this show from New York live. So, I don't know.
Why did we drop on Wednesday, Ferriston? Why do we?
I think it's just habit. We started at Podcast One. That was the day. I don't know. We can do it whenever we want. But are people really listening to a podcast on Saturday night? I don't think so.
No.
They send us all the pictures of the Spike's Car Radio on their, CarPlay interface or whatever.
Yeah, they like it on the commute.
Yeah, they like it on the commute. I like it on the commute.
So Spike ordered us pizzas. We had a big pepperoni pizza, and we also had my favorite, the green pepper and onion pizza, and he brought fine Cuban cigars. I mean, we really know how to live. We really do. We know the answer's not out there.
No.
It's in here.
Oh, this is profound. It's in the freezer. It's the ice cream sandwiches.
Yes. And Zuckerman brought ice cream sandwiches. What
You
more?
did?
Yes.
Wow.
You weren't listening.
Yeah, we're going to have them after the show.
All right. Well, we got a great show for you. We're going to talk about cars. Where should we start? I've got a list of things to talk about, but it seemed like before the show you guys were jawing about something.
I want to start with my drive today in my 85 930 slant nose. Do you still have yours?
No, I know. I'm an idiot.
These 80s 930s were built, I mean, so much to a much higher standard than the regular 911. And the slant nose, which has the much stronger those what do you call them, the
rocker panels,
the rockers, the rockers are reinforced, and the car is just a dream. And the slant nose, here's what I love about the slant nose, because you don't have the fender bulges, the appearance of the front of the car is much smaller. It really is the smallest feeling 911 in driving.
Why are you doing this to me?
Because you do this. I didn't do it. You do it to yourself.
And then you point out the mistake after the fact.
Here's what you don't do right. You should always, your first call before you buy or sell is me. Call me and tell me, here's what I'm going to do and why.
You're calling your friends.
Yeah.
He can talk you out of some great investments. He's done it. It's good. It's good.
Remember your Lusso?
The Lusso, yes.
Yeah.
The IROC.
What about me and the 918? Yeah. He laughed. Simon Bar Sinister.
The 700 original Mile 70S that we
Nero
both
in
passed
Cape
on.
Fear. In the movie theater. That scene, when we watched that, one of the greatest laughs of anyone ever did in a movie. De Niro and Max Cady.
What a movie.
That movie is so weird now. It's such a small,
Robert
weird
Mitchum.
movie.
Yeah.
And he's under the car at one point.
Yeah.
That's really a silly movie right
They
now.
expect you to believe that.
This guy's a stalker. You should watch
made
that.
that
And he had a
movie
great
twice.
experience. And Spike drove the 914 6 GT.
Oh, really?
Found by
Unreal.
Sam Cabilio, the same one, in a holding area at the Alfa Romeo factory in Italy in the early 70s. And he inquired, why is that car here? I said, they just bought it to study it. Would they consider selling it? And he bought it right from him, brought it to Southern California, and I bought it 20 years later.
We had some Kari fun. We were at Bill's, and then Patrick Long walked up wearing a T-shirt with a 914 6 GT on it.
How crazy.
That's the stupid stuff that really makes us happy.
Yeah.
But he was bringing, I think, Bill, a Lufka book and talking about a 912 that he had that he wanted maybe to sell to Bill, which was nice. And then saying he would have Lufka news very soon for all of us. He didn't have any dates yet, but he said, in this general vicinity, keep these weekends off. Very, very secretive. But now that he's retired, he's He's focused on good car stuff. For
How
us,
old a guy is he?
Patrick Long, 76.
40?
Gotta be.
He's retired. Yeah, I don't know.
So why do they retire? I would think racers could last longer with the modern fitness techniques. If Tom Brady can keep,
Right.
I would think do you think in the old days, these guys wanted to get out
Alive.
consider themselves lucky if they did pretty well. Let me get out while I have some chips still.
Right.
But I would think today, these guys would keep going.
Well, we'll have to have him on and ask him. But
Yeah.
it doesn't
young
seem
Maybe
like...
it's
sport.
the young guys start beating you, maybe.
Yeah.
Who are the old racers? Where are the old racers? I mean, I think he'll always race.
Yeah.
He's just not going to race
The
professionally.
Indy 500 guys lasted longer. They had longer careers.
Well, they only go make 3 turns.
Right?
Yeah, they're not even racing. That's nothing.
Did
That's
you
like,
see what's Chris Harris's video on the 992 GT3 Touring that dropped a day or two ago?
I did not watch it.
It's kind of interesting. Everybody's kind of waiting what's
he going to do? Right.
Yeah.
He said, I don't know if I'm not going to keep both. Will I keep the old one or the new one? And I thought for sure it would be the new one. What did he say in the video? I haven't seen it.
He didn't reference that statement. He just talked about the car. And it's impressive that he's quite critical about certain things. He really dislikes the seat. He dislikes that you can't get it with a back seat. He really wants a back seat.
I'm with him.
Yeah, but you can't do it because they have to then test. Because the front seat, the crash victims in the back seat will never survive hitting that front seat.
I see.
That's why they have no back seat.
The crash victims in the back
In
seat.
the back seat
Right.
will hit that front seat
I
and
see,
die.
I
The
see.
carbon bucket is not friendly to
Right.
rear seat
Well,
passengers.
touring.
Right.
What about touring seats?
Yeah,
I mean, the
man.
18-way seats that we have.
Right.
But I've decided
You wouldn't survive that. He also said noisy tires.
noisy tires. And you and I talked about it's really unflattering the way that back panel comes up in the air, spoils the lines of the car. It looks like a plumber's ass. It just, I would never get the touring. Never.
Wow, you've done a complete switcheroony on us.
Yes.
You know
you
my
know.
theory, Zuckerman. There are 6 Jerrys. I don't know.
Yes.
This is Jerry's 4, I think. That would say I'd never
But he
get
says,
a touring.
call me for advice. But I just want the listeners to know. This is what happened with the 918. It was one day buy it, and then the next week later, it's no, don't get it. It's horrible.
I love that 918 scab. You just keep picking at it. Yeah, I think it's embarrassing to watch a GT3 touring go down the road, and your ass, and it's like your pants fall down in the back, and everyone sees your ass. Get the wing; it's nice, and they don't. Why don't they recalibrate? If they recalibrated it to make it more compliant for street driving, then I would say, okay, the touring has some real advantages. But you get the same damn car, only with that horrible wing. It's not attractive.
I love
the
it.
964 electric wing looks good. This wing does not look good.
You don't
when it
watch
comes
the
up.
back of your car.
No, you don't. But other
But when
people
I was
do.
behind you driving, it really was unappealing.
It was?
To see the back of the GT3.
Oh, I wanna see that.
Yeah, it's really ugly.
Well, I'll have a look. I could care less. I'm enjoying that car.
Oh,
Keep
it's a great
enjoying
car.
it.
It's a great
By the
car.
time, with the economy, by the time we're able to sell that car, it'll be 100,000 under sticker.
You think? Well, we can't make that mistake again. I think our GT4 RS comes at Christmas.
That's a great car.
It's a November build, so when does that deliver?
Probably beginning of the year.
Yeah, and that car is going to be spectacular. That'll be our little which are we going to keep.
What did you drive this week that entertained you?
Oh, God, I had such a great week. I drove that 993 Cabriolet in 95, and it's the first time I had it on the freeway. I had the top down. I had the boot cover installed right. At 100 miles an hour on the freeway. Light, fast, but solid. It was... It was one of those drives that made me indescribably happy.
Right.
I was flying on this magic carpet.
Wow.
It was so fantastic.
Wow.
So I enjoyed that. I drove the low mile 993 Turbo. Which
Right.
Always always makes me very, very happy. I'm in love with that car. I've got the 280 SL back.
I saw it in the garage. Looks nice.
Right, we were having trouble with the shifter. There were the wrong bushings in the shifter, which was making it very bulky to drive.
Right.
And we've got that straightened out.
That's nice.
And I don't know if I told you, but that car, which comes off seemingly a little bit light and rattly compared to a later 450 SL, that
Sure.
iteration, the later R107, when I get that 280 SL on the freeway, the faster you go, the more solid it feels.
Wow.
There's something about the aerodynamics of that little 280 SL that at the higher speed you go, the more solid it feels on the road. And I could feel the heritage of the 300 SL in that 280
Wow.
SL, that straight six engine. Blew my mind.
What a pitch. This is, now you're coming for the close now. I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah.
No, that sounds really nice. That car has a vibe to it that's so special. Why don't you tell them a little bit? It's not just a regular 280 SL.
It's called a Standwagen. It's a show car. So it's got a code 975. Standwagen, you stand over there. But it was a show car. I believe it was in the Paris Auto Show of autumn of 1970. But the way Mercedes did those cars, if it was going to be a show car, and it was coded 975, I believe that's the code, special preparation of body, chassis, and engine compartment. And so you can see how beautiful that original paint still shines like new. Everything about that car.
It's incredible. I made a car move this week.
Well, let me do an ad before we hear that.
Okay.
We're 16 minutes in here. Lately, I've been listening to the Hair soundtrack, and it's been great. And one reason it's been great is because I use Raycon wireless earbuds. Raycon everyday earbuds look, feel, and sound better than ever with optimized gel tips for the perfect in-ear fit. These earbuds are so comfortable, they will not budge. Trust me. I actually just got a bunch delivered to my house, the fitness ones, and I grabbed them up before the kids can get them. Just used them before I came over. They work. They're great. They don't fall out of your ear, which I appreciate. And you take them out of the box and they connect right to your phone. There's no fiddling around. Raycons give you 8 hours of playtime, 32-hour battery life, and then you need to charge. It's super easy. You can even do it wirelessly. Go to buyraycon.com/spike911 today to get 15% off your Raycon order. That's buyraycon.com/spike911 to score 15% off. Buyraycon.com/spike911. And now we have a link tree. One of the listeners made a link tree. Do you know what a link tree is?
No.
So you can stop bothering me for these codes. I'm going to put a link tree somewhere. I don't know where yet, but every sponsor, you can get all the codes on the link tree, and it's updated, and I'll have to remember to thank that person. Jerry, you bought a car?
I bought a car this week.
And this
you didn't consult with us?
Let me just back.
I did.
Let me just back up, because this is something I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
You're out here a lot.
Yeah.
We're working a lot. Mm-hmm. I think it's fair to say that we're working, hard 5 days, but working 7 days a week, right? This is an old pattern of, how has your car psychology changed? Like, are you feeling like back in the days of Seinfeld when there was no time to do anything except car stuff? Are you in that headspace? And did that headspace lead to this purchase?
Probably, yes. When you're doing well, knock wood, may God bless, we should remain friends, and the money's coming in, usually when you're in that state that a lot of money is coming in, you have no time. When you have time, you don't have money coming in.
Right.
So the one thing that you can do to at least make yourself feel like, what am I doing this for? Why am I working so hard? Is if you buy a car that you can't even use, you feel like it's a reward.
Yes.
It's all. This is all. What is it?
So you're just justifying, you're self-indulgent.
Self-gratification.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's different, though. I mean,
it balances off your
It balances off the insanity and the intensity of the project and the things that you're doing.
Right.
Like
you do something purely, what's the word?
Recreational?
Yes. It's the pure recreation. Balances the intense important, meaningful work.
Right.
You want to do something that's for no good reason at all.
Right. So that psychology led
Yeah.
you to what car and where and how?
Well, Paul knows about it because he was there when I was presented with the opportunity.
That is true.
We were having a coffee at the absolutely unbeatable Cafe Lux
In Malibu?
in Malibu. I love that place.
Great team.
The coffee, it is so worth getting in your car and driving there. Boy, they really do. This whole coffee world, this is coffee 4.0. 1.0 was Maxwell House. 2.0 was
Mr. Coffee?
Mr. Coffee. Then Howard Schultz, and now they've gone to this level.
Schultzy.
Anyway,
And now Cafe Lux.
Cafe Lux.
And each time the coffee gets more expensive,
Yeah.
we say this is it.
Anyway, so I have all these cars, and I love them all, and I recently started really reading. I read somewhere, or maybe I watched a doc on Ferdinand Porsche, the father, Ferry's father, and he was a true nut, probably deeply into the spectrum, a mad genius. You know the story that when he was 16, he figured out how to get electricity into his house in Austria in like 1870. His father comes home one night and the entire house is lit up. As a 16-year-old, he figured this out, a generator, and wired it up somehow. Nobody had electricity. And the story of them inventing this VW and how they did it, he did it in his little shop. And this concept of a small flat engine in the back so that there's room in the front, and the aerodynamics and the packaging practicality and the efficiency, air-cooled, no drive shaft, all these things. And so incredibly ingenious. I always mark up your couch. And
Cigar
Him and Lieberman.
if you think about a world that didn't have the VW Beetle in it, and think about what it would take to think of that, you really then you appreciate what an incredibly inventive, creative idea it was. So I love the story of this bombed out factory. The war's over, 1945. The Brits and the Americans, they can go, well, obviously these cars are worthless. Obviously this thing is we're just going to raise it to the ground. But while we're here, and to get around this country that we're occupying, why don't we throw a few of these together just to get around? So they did. So they put together 1,000 cars, and they find that people like them, and they're good cars, and they make more, and they make more, and then of course everybody knows the rest of the story. But I love that moment of, well, obviously this car is useless, but as long as we have all the parts, let's throw a few of them together. And that's how the VW company began. So I always wanted an example of that moment when they were just starting to put them together to see, just to use to get around. Right after World War II. So this guy, a friend of ours, had a 46 VW. I can't go any earlier. I get uncomfortable with the... I'm just not comfortable.
Really?
Yeah, that's where I draw the line.
Except for the fact is, you just said the parts were laying around from before the end.
Yeah, but it was after VE Day. I draw a line
There's
there.
a line there is
There's
what
a
you're
line.
saying.
I draw a line of VE Day.
So after VE Day, you can feel good about buying
After
German
the
cars.
unconditional surrender, I am comfortable.
All right, that's a good little line there for everybody, for listeners. Don't be buying before VE Day.
Yeah, don't buy anything built before VE Day. So I bought the 46 VW. I haven't seen it. I've just seen pictures of it. Mm-hmm. And I remember this is 3 years before the first Porsche, two really, which came out June 8th of 48, and then the Gemunds were 49. 3 years before the Gemund, this was built. And this is the car that led to this entire thing. All this GT3 crap, it all started from that little car.
Wow.
So I thought that should be in my group, that car.
That's a fantastic story.
Yeah.
And when I think of Ferdinand, I think for him to come up with this car when he touched so many of the top line racers in pre-war, the preeminent marks, the biggest, the auto union racers, the SS,
Daimler, Mercedes.
Yes, the Mercedes, the big Mercedes pieces. And so he went to the complete other end of the automotive spectrum with this people's car.
The efficiency. What is the most efficient way to get people around? What can we build that will be sturdy, economical, practical, inexpensive to buy and produce?
Not that I want to talk about this before the line, but one of the indicators in 1930s Germany of wealth was the lack of cars per capita in comparison to the United States. And one of the goals in the creation of the Volkswagen, of the Beetle, was to bring around the same per capita amount of cars in Germany in the United States. And that's one of the predicates to building this.
Right. This particular car was owned by U.S. Armed Forces in Germany. They used it.
Wow.
And however it got here, I'm going to try and get some history on it. I'm sure I won't be able to. Those cars are just...
But did you have the car checked out? Did you have someone
I did.
look at it?
I had a guy who specializes in these 40s VWs, builds them. Those. You ever heard of a beast cow? Have you ever heard of a beast cow? Mm-mm. It's one of those coach built. It has VW underpinning, but it's a coach built body. They're kind of cool. And he knows all about these cars.
How do you find a guy who knows all about this
car? You call
car?
a VW shop, a really good VW shop. I said, do you know anybody that knows about early VWs? He will. Everybody knows.
How old was this guy?
I didn't meet the man.
We hope he's 100. Jerry, okay.
Technically, he's blind.
Have you ever been offered a pre-VE day?
I had a fascination with the Schwimmwagen for a period of time because I thought I would love to drive into the water.
Yeah, it is
just
fun.
keep going away.
I've done
Just
that.
wave at your family
You've
on
done
the
that?
beach.
In an amphibious car, yeah. It's very off-putting.
An amphicar?
An amphicar, yeah. It's weird. It feels really weird.
Yeah.
And the moment we did it on Car Matchmaker, and we did it at a lake, and it was still somewhat terrifying. Just going from sand to water is the weirdest feeling in a car. And then the geese and the duck, dirty duck water, and your car. It's bad. It's not. It's none of it's good. Why don't you have this car? Isn't it nearby?
Yeah.
We could get it tomorrow.
Yeah. Why don't we go pick it up? Aren't you excited? Don't you find, most of us, when we buy something, we want it immediately.
He likes to hold off. You've
Jerry,
seen
I know.
likes this.
He's interesting. What is that? Explain that to us.
I like to expand the acquisitional moment.
Why?
Because it's the great joy. That's the greatest moment. You see something you like, you decide you really like it, then you decide you're going to make a move on it, then you make the move on it, then a deal is reached. All of these are great steps. Then there's the moving the car to where you are. Why shorten any of that?
This is like tantric sex without the sex.
Yes, exactly. It's tantric car buying.
This is wisdom from many, many car purchases on how to savor, I think is what you're saying.
Yes, savor,
the nice parts of the experience.
Yeah, it's all nice.
Is any of it fear-based? Do you ever worry that you're going to drive it and hate it and you're a little afraid to drive it?
No, I don't want it. If it happens too fast, there's a chance that you'll get that convulsive, which you almost always get anyway. What do we call that when you get something new? You always instantly hate it, hate yourself.
No,
and you go, why did I do this?
The regret. You feel
why?
Regret.
Always regret is at first.
Remorse.
Yeah.
There's a couple days of remorse.
Buyer's remorse. What did I need this for?
Right.
Yeah.
And that usually starts to fade, the second or third day.
Yeah.
The first drive can be really scary. And then
I don't usually buy things that I'm not going to drive.
Right.
Which I don't think I'm going to drive this, but I just felt historically it was something incredibly interesting and significant. I mean, if you look at this crazy story and to think that they're still building flat cylinder arrangement rear engine cars, started in 38. This is 80 years.
And what color is it? It's black?
It's dark blue with a gray interior. It's kind of nice looking.
We could have the greatest 3-car VW drive then, because you've got this very early car.
Yeah.
You've got the police car.
Right.
And then you've got one of the last ones. Did you have a very
the
late
Mexican ones?
Yeah, a very late one.
I have a late 77 German build. Really nice car.
Yeah.
But I don't think this is not for you. You don't look good in it. You won't feel good in it. I prize humility.
Oh, boy.
Here we go again.
You prize arrogance, prideful, a vengeance, sloth,
He's projecting
and gluttony.
All 7 deadly sins. He's looking at me. I've just been beat down.
I'm like Gandhi.
You.
Yes, you're wearing a loincloth and spinning your own yarn.
Jerry's going to need to keep his new Volkswagen Nazi mobile clean year-round. He can use 303 cleaners and protectants. 303's revolutionary graphene nanospray coating gives your German automobile professional protection in a simple-to-use spray formula. Keep your car's paint protected for up to 12 months. Gives you an insane level of depth and gloss. I am telling you, you guys know this. I use it all the time now because of Bill's giant tree of birds that go to the bathroom on your car that have made our Sunday car show even more stressful. And I come home from that and use my 303 line of graphene products, mostly that nano spray coating. That nano spray coating gives me professional protection, gets rid of all the bird droppings, 12 months of protection, as a matter of fact, an insane level of depth and gloss, and it works. I don't even know what graphene is. I know I can't live without it. Check out 303's line of graphene products at Advanced Auto Parts, Walmart, AutoZone, or go to 303radio.com for more information. Thank you, 303.
So
we have a lot of questions.
I know,
we can wait.
Before we get to that,
all right.
I think we got to do a little longer show tonight because I feel like it's going by too fast. But Zuckerman is, before we went on the air, was talking that he's flirting with a couple of 356s that have come into his orbit. But he doesn't like to talk about it.
So this is a very good instinct, Jerry. Let's work these cars live.
I don't want to bring it up live. I don't want to.
Why not?
Well, I don't.
You don't have to.
You can give us general ideas.
You can keep it general.
And we can help you with it. But this is a question we get asked all the time. How do you guys decide? How do you pull the trigger? And I always say the same thing. I talk to you guys. I talk to friends. And they help you not make mistakes. Not 100%. You'll make mistakes. But there's something about talking about these things, and also the model in your collection that we can see that you can't see. And we know more about what you buy and drive and don't drive than you do.
Well, I know what my mistakes are, and I sometimes enjoy my mistakes. We can start at that point. But I'm a secret buyer. You know this about me.
Yeah.
I like to be a sneaky. I still have a little sneakiness about me.
Right.
I like
still?
A little.
Yes, I like to be a little sneaky.
Really?
I like to.
We didn't know that.
Yes, and I like to find something, and I like to do it, and I like to get it, and then present it to you.
Yeah.
You're the one
That
who
is
mentioned
fun.
it.
Yeah.
Just give us some.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about
with the blue 64C.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's a little fun in that. And
Yeah, there is.
Plus, I also I know that I always know I'm doing something impulsive and stupid a lot of times, and I do enjoy being stupid.
And you don't want anyone telling you
That you're being stupid.
Right. I get that.
We're not going to tell you you're stupid.
And this is why whenever Jerry calls me, I tell him, I can be reasonable, or I can be the guy I like to be, which is to co-sign and encourage you in your behavior. I want to be your lower companion, Jerry.
Right.
I want to encourage you to be bad,
right,
and to do things.
But they're cars you don't want to see your friends buy.
All right, one of them
They're
is
both,
a late.
They're both 356s.
And yes.
Okay.
One of them would be a 4-cam.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Original 4-cam?
Original 4-cam.
You got my interest.
Okay, we're cool.
Early plain bearing.
I don't care about
that.
Early plain bearings.
That would be 57.
A little later than that.
58.
And the other one would be almost as close as you can get to a Gamode and not be a Gamode.
Really?
Really? Split window?
Yes.
Really? 4-digit.
Ooh.
talking about a lot of money here.
Cartoon.
Well, neither
figures.
of those cars sound cheap, do they, Jerry? So one of them,
Coupe or convertible?
They're both
or
coupes.
cam? They're
both
coupes.
coupes. Now, one of them really drives.
Coupe.
One of them is really beautiful and is at the very beginning of this line. Right? I'm not going to get a Gamon.
One is a preservation car, you're saying? And
It's
one
not
is-
preservation. It's not that original, but it is a very, very early car.
All right, I have some opinions.
That didn't take long.
No, because I've seen Zuckerman buy things like this before. What's that car you have in your hangar there?
The Lancia?
That you never, ever...
That's a wonderful car.
And I
But he
really-
never drives it.
No, you know what? I have to do a couple of things, and because I'm so busy, there are 2 things I need to do to that car. 3, and I would drive
You
it
still
all
don't
the
drive
time.
it. No,
I
you
would drive it
don't.
all the time.
It's
I
not
would.
a driver. You drive your M5.
Oh, it is a driver.
You drive your M5 a lot. You like to be comfortable. You love that new
What M5 am
993
I
cab.
driving? The E39, the
What's
white
that
one?
little white car you have? Yeah. The white BMW. That
Yeah,
you
the
always-
E39.
Yeah, that thing.
I drive that long distances. Yeah.
Right, you like it. You
Yeah,
like
yeah.
to be comfortable in your car. Which is the better driving car?
Well, the
and then you will
Ford Cam's
have
gonna
your
be
answer.
the better
Then
driver.
that is
Of
your
course.
car. That is your
but that's
car.
not. But Jerry, I think, would think that there's something valid about the other one.
The thing about the other one is that the thing that would justify the purchase of a split window is if you had somewhat of a lineage of the story of the 356. It's nice one of the things I really love is when you can kind of tell a little story. Like they started making it here, and then it went to here, and then it went to here. And when you can sample those different things, for example, a 70s 911, an 80s 911, a 90s 911. It's such an interesting progression of technology, style, of course, all with the same basic concept, but it's variations on the theme. I find that very, very interesting, and you always want to go chronological. You always want to drive the early car first. You never want to go the other way. Then you drive the improved version, and then the improved version, and you get it to compress time. A lot of this car thing is about time, a dominance of time, which we cannot have in life. Mm-hmm. We can't control it, can't stop it, can't affect time in any way. But with the cars, we travel through time.
Absolutely.
And we can compress a timeline. So I have a split window, attached bumper 356, a 51. It's not a 4-digit car, it's a 5-digit car, but
fish silver.
It's fish silver, and the first time I drove it, it actually brought tears to my eyes because it was such a fine, the fineness of it, and the elegance and the simplicity and the smallness. The idea that they put this kind of workmanship into such a small, unassuming thing, just find that to be a very that's a bright spot in human nature and human character.
You think
I don't like the bigness, the Ferraris and the SSK Mercedes. They offend me.
And this is 1951. They have no resources in Germany,
right?
And they are lavishing this attention to detail on that 51 with the wood. The wood rims,
the windowsills.
The windowsills, with the radio, with the kind of fabrics they're using on the seats. I agree with you. There is an elegance to this very understated car.
But it's gonna be an infrequent opportunity that you're gonna drive it.
Which is my point.
Yeah,
which is my point.
But but
a beautiful art object.
And
but they if they're done well, they will drive well. I've driven mine up PCH to Malibu. It's no problem. But the 4Cam is a car that you can use a lot, and to me the complexity of the 4Cam is just about beats everything. If you like old watches, if you like metal on metal, there's just nothing like a 4Cam. I find it hypnotic. I find them hypnotic.
This is going to be the title of the episode, The Car That Made Jerry Cry. Did anybody see you crying in your car, Jerry?
I didn't cry, but I just thought, oh my God.
Tears of Seinfeld.
Tears of Seinfeld.
You know what, Bob? I think of the moment
Nothing else has ever made him cry but a car.
No, nothing else. the night before Patton, and George C. Scott knows he's going into battle in Carthage. He looks out at the open field, and he says to who was the guy who played as second in command, who did all the MX spots with the guy with the big nose,
Carl Malden.
Carl Malden. He says to Carl Malden, "God help me, I love it so."
It's so interesting.
And that's how I feel about the cars. God help me, I just love it so.
There are moments in cars that you get emotional like that when you get them. You know what? I don't know that I had tears, but I felt very emotional when I drove the GT2 RS at one point.
Sure.
I just thought I never could own something like this. Remember when you had it and you let me drive it back home for the first time?
Sure. That's an emotional car.
What a moment.
That's an emotional car.
The 993, the very first, the Boxster, the very first Boxster.
Oh, yeah.
I just thought, I've been working so hard waiting to get this for years.
Yeah.
And you get it. I did it. And it
that was the ride I had in the 993 Cabriolet. That was just that perfect.
But you're talking about emotional because of how well the thing is made
and what it is.
It was a beautiful. It was just the dials were so beautiful. They were so elegant and small, and they have those little eyebrows, those little metal eyebrows for shade them in the sun. And I just thought it just suits my sensibility so well. I could never get into big cars, showy cars, loud, 12-cylinder, all that racket and raucous, and everybody look at me. I just like the opposite of that. I like... it's the watch thing. What do you like about a watch? It's a tiny, incredibly precise thing.
It's fascinating. Like, I remember working on the show, and you were just starting to get into the old stuff, and I'd look at him, why does this guy's making all this money? Why is he buying the old cars? Why is he buying orange? And then, I see people today who are starting to collect, and they start in the same place. But as you're in this longer, you go older, you buy the older stuff. You start getting into the older stuff more and more.
Yeah.
Look what he's talking about right now. This guy.
I'm kind of surprised. But what happens
what is that? Why do Why do we start to go to the old cars?
It's the same reason when you meet a successful person, you say, "Hey, how did you start out in this business? How the hell did you get where you are now?" And that's what it is. You look at Porsche now, it's not that interesting. It's another giant company making tons of money. You kind of want to go to Warren Buffett. What was the first stock you bought? That's what's interesting about it. The origin story is always the best story.
Absolutely.
And then you just start to seek it out as you get older.
Yeah.
Then you die.
Yeah. And then you die.
Right when you die.
Tell us about the 4Cam a little bit. Is it it's a GS?
GS.
What color is it?
Aquamarine blue.
Ooh. Ooh. Wow. That's a 58 GS 4Cam. That is a sweet piece.
It is a sweet piece. It is a sweet...
Red interior with the oatmeal carpet?
No, unfortunately, it's
beige.
Beige. Red would be.
Is this car on the East Coast?
Of course.
I think I know this car.
You know this car.
All right. Really?
You better hurry up and buy it.
I want to answer some questions.
But if you miss it, let's talk about collecting cars, because we're talking about buying cars, and they've got some good ones. Look at this, 2007 997 GT3.
That's a great car. You used to have one.
One of the all-time analog drivers, machines, fantastic 997 GT3, currently live for bids on collecting cars. 409 horsepower, 3.6-liter Mezger flat six. Mezger. There's a good shirt. This car was had its last owner for 10 years, who serviced the car through the selling dealer, and now it's ready for you to use on the track. Closing for bids Sunday. What else do we have? Ooh, Zuckerman, look. 1990 BMW E30 M3, 36,000 KMs. Are you an M collector? Wow, this isn't a color photograph, but this car looks beautiful. What color is it? Low mileage, S14 engine, 215 horsepower. For serious collectors, remarkably low mileage E30 M3 closes for bids Friday. Collecting cars is just jamming with good stuff. Their air-cooled Sunday.
Well.
Yeah.
Their air-cooled Sunday was a big thing. They had that Dutch police car on, like yours, right when we were driving your car.
That was an amazing car.
Jerry drove his Dutch police car. Collecting cars, though, if you want to buy a car, you want to sell a car, you want them. Their listings are free. You can advertise for free to the world. And you got Chris Harris on your side helping you sell your car. Hello, Chris. That Dutch police car you drove inexplicably to the studio.
I drove it to make Susan Matheson happy.
Sue Matheson, who does wardrobe on our movie, yes. But as a producer of the movie, we were not happy with you that you were driving a Diet Coke can to set and then working 14 hours. And we spilled out of there at midnight that night?
Yeah.
And Jerry got in his little car, and I said, I'm going to follow you home.
And I tried to clean the windshield with a makeup removing cloth.
Fantastic.
I've got the other producers going, yeah, why is he driving that car? And I go, he's got a driver. And I go, we like to drive. I go, I'll follow him so he doesn't get crunched, which provided them that did not make them happy because I just totaled my Defender 2 days earlier. And yeah, he's going down the road. I'm like, he can't see out of that. What has he got on his windshield? It was just mashed.
It was like I put Vaseline intensive care on the windshield
to make
clean
it even worse. So he stops at a light, and I get out of my car, and he's out of his car. We're on La Brea or something, and I come around him to dump water on, but he didn't see me, and he goes, like who's out of their car? We could have been hit by a motorcycle. And then the insanity. That car was so funny on the 405. I was in my rental Velar, and your car looked so tiny on that. We were on the 10. And the 10, that time of night, is madness.
It's
just madness.
It's rollerball.
It's rollerball.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's really crazy.
Yeah. The 405 is crazier even.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I know. I got jammed up. Well, we got a ton of questions.
Let's do some questions.
The listeners are obviously very excited to have you on the show.
Isn't this 4-digit car? Those cars are very, very pricey.
Okay, I'm not getting a Gamoon anytime soon. A, they're not available. B, I'll never have that kind of dough. Do you realize, not that we want to be so gauche, but you probably have the best Gamoon in the world?
That I just stumbled into the oldest original condition Porsche in the world? Yeah, that's something.
I mean, it's
original interior, original everything. Body, engine, everything.
Everything. And those cars, most of them are not complete, right?
No,
they didn't survive like yours.
Right.
Yours is from of all of the, if there's 48 of them, whatever there are, I don't know how many are alive still.
Half at most.
Okay. You've got, so of all of these cars are unobtainium, you've got the most unobtainable of all of them.
Yeah, an original condition Gammond. Yeah.
I posted Jerry Seinfeld owns this car, a picture of your car today. Jerry Seinfeld is co-hosting tonight's show. Jerry Seinfeld loves to answer your questions. Leave them below. First commenter, Jessica Seinfeld. I have some questions. That's all she wrote. I have some questions.
That you do.
And then Tim Koo below responded to her, how do you react to all of the purchases? Is there any trade-offs to you? Do you care?
Hilarious.
What is your favorite car to go into?
Oh, that's so funny.
She's not having any of it. Everybody's laughing, but she's not having any of it. But what about it? Does she like any of your cars?
Yeah, she does.
Does she care about what you buy at this point?
No.
And how do you manage that?
Manage what?
Playing dumb over here. Manage what?
She just wants you to be happy. And
that's right. And I want the same for her.
Do you ever buy her a nice old car? Have you ever done anything like that?
No, but I do pick all her new cars, and I just pick them myself. And I say, I'm getting you a car. She says, I don't want it. And I show it to her. She goes, I don't like it. And she gets it and loves it. She has a Panamera Sport Turismo now that I bought a couple years ago. Absolutely in love with it.
Wow. Straight Pipes. The Straight Pipes podcast or YouTube show wants to know if Jerry couldn't own a Porsche, what brand would he switch to? What brand would he drive, and what brand would he collect?
Well, obviously, the closest to Porsche in philosophy and would be Alfa Romeo, and that would be the car. And the other brand that I'm completely obsessed with, as regular listeners know, is Morgan. because those three companies to me embody the pure joy of driving.
Look at
Why the face? Why you have such a mocking face? Why?
You are obsessed, but you don't buy them.
I'm a Morgan owner, and I'm in the Morgan Owners Club too. I have a little membership card. I sent away, and I said I want to be in the club. I want the newsletter.
That makes 6 of us.
I love it.
You're always so sensible and reasonable, and then there's always these strange tangents. I was going to predict you would have said something reasonable like Mercedes. You like Mercedes.
I like diesel Mercedes only because, again, I'm going to use the word humility. The diesel Mercedes, the greatest engineering minds of the time, building the most durable, economical thing they can. I think that's an interesting brief to give to those people, and they built those indestructible Mercedes, and I find that fascinating.
Right, and what's indestructible about a Morgan or
Nothing.
an Alfa?
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
Steve from Jay Leno's Garage, one of our listeners and one of our friends, wants to know, Jerry, do you? What are your thoughts on the '97 Boxster, the original Boxster? Apparently, Steve and some of the guys at Jay Leno's Garage or someone there has one, and they're mocked for it. But what are your feelings about that first Boxster?
If I may speak candidly,
No one's listening.
The Boxster show car designed by Grant Larson that debuted in 1993 at the Detroit Auto Show is so magnificently proportioned, so beautiful. Still to this day, if you look at that car, it is one of the most perfect sports car designs, shapes. It's all about mass and mastery of form and line when you design a car. And at the time, Porsche was so strapped economically, they knew they had to develop the Boxster and the new 911 simultaneously, and the front end had to be the same. They could not afford to do it any other way. And unfortunately, the first Boxster it's a bit ungainly compared to that show car. It was a very disappointing thing to the real Porsche purists.
It was.
That it didn't really look like the show car.
It was exciting for a couple of years, but it didn't age well. It very quickly started to look teeny and cheap.
And then you got the next generation. You had a black Boxster S. That was a great car.
Yeah, I had more fun in that first one.
Really?
Yeah, that drive we had back from Circle.
Yeah, it was
Bert
fun.
Olander, that was a great day.
That was a very high-tech car. That we hadn't ever had anything like that.
With the top off.
Mid-engine, and the packaging was great. Handling was great.
And right to work.
I like any Boxster. All Boxsters are great.
Thoughts on driving gloves?
A nice idea, but when you're seen of wearing them, it's an instant lose.
This is for all of us from Hugh Keller.
Unless it's a Morgan on a cold, misty British morning.
Right. Then you can wear a cap.
Yeah,
a
cap
scarf.
and driving gloves.
Right. Drive right off a cliff. Hugh Keller, what is your favorite Porsche supercar for all of us?
918.
As he blows cigar smoke in my face. Take that, Zuckerman.
Would you have bought one?
Yes. I was all set up. I had the greatest deal on that car ever.
You did not have a great deal. The lease payment was $25,000 a month.
Okay,
Holy shit.
Wait a second. They were not leasing these cars to anyone but me. They were willing, for whatever reason.
But that's
they were
a very
afraid.
big lease payment for a car.
I didn't have $900,000 laying around to pay. This was a.
But $900,000 is a few months away.
I would have gotten it. It would have worked out. I would have gotten it. I would have gotten in, and I'd be ahead of the game today.
You could do it right now instead of this 4Cam. Why don't you do the 918?
What would you do with such a car?
I wouldn't. I wouldn't do anything with the car, right? I wouldn't be able to sit in the seat. I would drive it as much as you do, which is barely.
I have 3,000 miles on mine, which for me is a lot.
Yeah. I said I don't have it. I'm getting more currency out of not having it and blaming you than actually
Between the
having it.
959, the Carrera GT, and the 918, hands down the Carrera GT for me. What about you guys? 918?
959.
Well, I've only owned the Carrera GT. I haven't driven the other two. I can't tell you.
The Carrera GT is the most beautiful and the most thrilling, but the least usable of those three.
Jerry, how would you describe, this is from Wirtz, How would you describe your love for the slant nose? What makes it so special? Do we need a new edition of it?
I think I've already discussed that earlier.
But but you talked about the driving of it today when we had coffee.
The slant nose is if you're a Porsche guy and you've never driven a slant nose, the look down of the road is unbelievable. It is truly the nose of a surfboard.
And I agree. The build quality that they took those bodies in white and put them in Works One.
Yeah.
These pre-505 cars, the ones that the Special Wishes cars, fantastically built and ferocious.
Dumb question, and I'm sorry to ask. Why did you sell?
A moment of stupidity. And
you made money, obviously.
Yeah, and I don't know. That was a beautiful car.
You talking about the white with red?
No, it was white with black interior, and I sold it.
All right.
Which car?
The slant nose I had.
There's
I had
another one out there. There's another one out there.
I don't miss that car, Zuckerman. I think that was the right move. Jerry, Josh, and Steve want to know, what was the worst joke you ever told in a set? Worst, I guess, meaning didn't really work, but that's...
He hates that
That's
question.
a stupid question.
Well done, Josh.
Jerry's always like, your listeners
podcast only
have the greatest questions. Not tonight. What is favorite 1970s Porsche colors? Ooh, that's
an easy one. Number one, I'll say greatest Porsche color of all time, 1974, 1 year only, Mexico blue. Number two, Viper green or tangerine.
Tangerine for sure.
Number three, Grand Prix white.
Conda green.
Conda green is nice. Viper is a little brighter.
I'm not sure about that. Sean Aggie wants to know, why are you drawn to Breitling watches? We all want to know that. Why Breitlings?
Same reason I'm drawn to Porsche. A design language of essence, of elegance and functionality combined. Nothing stupid on the face of a Breitling, not counting the stupid diamond-encrusted crap that all these people have to make for their rich wives.
Speaking of stupid,
don't know what to do
what
with
is
the
that
money.
thing again where we could rum-dum central if you...
My emergency tube Breitling?
Yes.
Yeah.
Does that still work or no?
Oh, yeah, it works. I don't have it on right now, but if I needed to be rescued... I could be rescued with
Whatever
my
the
Breitling
cost
emergency
is, would you
too.
please activate it? I will pay whatever the charge is.
No, it's a lot of money. It's $50,000.
Okay, just to see if them show up. I know no one's showing up.
Let's do it on a podcast. We'll sit here. They'll come running in, and the chopper will land in your front yard.
Nobody coming. Nobody's coming. Nobody.
Imagine the guy with his arm stuck between the rocks that had to saw it off. Imagine if on his other wrist he's got a Breitling Emergency 2 and he gets saved. That would be a great commercial.
Starboy Christian wants to know, what is your favorite movie car? What car is it in a movie that made you nuts? This is for all of us.
Well, there's an obvious answer.
Is there?
Yeah.
It's like great 70S from Le Mans.
Right.
But...
yeah, that's pretty good.
I don't know how you beat that.
Well, the Bullet Mustang would be one.
The Bullet Mustang and the Bond DB5.
But which is your favorite?
I would say the Bond DB5.
Really?
Yeah, just because I've loved that era of Bond so much. And I had no idea about any cars, and that just seemed beyond cool to me.
What about you, Zuckerman?
I'm pretty much with Jerry. You know, when you're a kid, you see Q telling him how to flick, there's oil and darts or whatever, machine guns.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. And then I got a little older, and when the Lotus is going underwater, you go, you know what? This is just dumb. The Lotus underwater is where that franchise went wrong.
Snob Big P wants to know, do you find any enjoyment in the maintenance process, Jerry?
Of course, it's all...
Explain that to him.
Well, look, it's the cycle of human emotions. Spike today we were talking about some work that he's getting done in the Zagato. You think you got your car perfect, then you realize there's 3 problems with it, and you get depressed. And you go, Jesus Christ! I put all this time and money into this thing, and it's not done yet. And you go through the depression. It's like the 5 stages of grief. But then when you get it fixed, it's better than before the thing broke. You have an elation of fixing a broken thing. That's a big part of the hobby. So the maintenance is the same as the maintenance of your body. It's a pain in the ass, but ultimately satisfying if you can do it.
I love it. I love working on cars.
Yeah.
I like fixing stuff myself.
Oh, well, that's the ultimate. That's the ultimate.
What did I just do? I just had a car in your garage, and I was putting in radio codes. What car was that? Oh, your 993.
That was the blue 993.
Zuckerman was like, I'm getting the radio code for, so you won't be able to use the radio. And I just went right into his front boot because I knew there'd be a card with a code in it, and I plugged it in. It worked, Zuckerman.
1802. If anybody ever steals my blue 993, it's 1802.
When I was a kid and I had a Fiat 128 Sport, and then I had a Fiat 124, I did all the work. I took the steering apart, the brakes apart, and if you could fix something yourself, that is a unique...
we have a word for it. Spadermats.
Well, that's just...
James Spader has put mats in his car. And he felt like he had a new car. When you actually fix something as small as a bulb somewhere...
That's a much higher high. When you know you fix like something that's broken.
Yes.
That's the highest high.
That's why we wrench on cars. But more often than not, I ruin my car and then have to send it off rather than fix it, so I don't get that high.
I can't believe we're having ice cream sandwiches after this.
Yeah, we're going to do that. A lot of
great.
people want to know what kind of music you listen to. Catherine T is. What is Jerry listening to when he drives around?
Oh, I don't like to listen to music if I'm driving something classic because I just want to hear and feel the car.
You listen to
Otherwise, a lot of Beatles, a lot of Steely Dan.
Right.
I love Duke Ellington, Count Basie. I don't know, a lot of Sinatra sometimes.
How do you decide where a car lives? That's a good question.
That was a good one.
You have... did you read these?
I read it.
There's so many questions here.
But the one, how do you decide whether a car's out on the island or in LA?
Well,
you live in a bunch.
I'm going to tell you this right now. Let's go back to your 356 situation. I have my 53 Super out here, which is a wonderful car, 1500 cc, 75 horsepower, but it's a 53. It doesn't belong here. It cannot compete well enough with LA traffic, even on PCH. It's just not enough car. Now, a later 356, no problem. A B or a C or that 4-cam you're talking about, no problem. But an early 50s 356, it's just overmatched in traffic. It's you're going to feel scared.
See, this was going to be my question for you, because I can't remember a time since the 90s that you've been out here this long for this many weeks around your collection.
Right.
What
right.
are you now seeing in your collection? Because you must be seeing it differently right now. You're seeing it daily. You're driving it a lot more. Are things changing for you?
You know what? It's getting me through this experience the same way it did in the 90s. I can only drive something interesting on the weekends because work is, you're just tired and you need to get to work, and I can't put any focus on driving. But thinking about the weekend coming and that we're going to go for a drive is absolutely, you're swinging from vine to vine,
just to get there.
That car. I'm thinking, I can't wait for tomorrow. We get to drive again, and then I'll be ready for work Monday. I'll have had that fun.
For a work car, that was my follow-up. What is the criteria for the work car where you have to get up early and yet you're driving home late? What cars do you pick in that scenario?
I think a later manual transmission car is a great way to go to work because you do want some distraction.
Right.
Unless you're totally wiped, and then you don't want to shift. But I wanna drive a manual transmission on the way to work because then I look forward to driving to work.
And what car is that?
Oh, I'm driving the 718 Spider a lot, most of the time, as you know,
With the top
which is
down.
a fantastic car in traffic, and I love the size of it. I'm still having issues with the 992 size. I very rarely drive it. In Hollywood, the streets are tight, and that car's just too big for me.
But what's kind of fun, Zuckerman, is every once in a while I get behind him at the same time in the touring or something, and we're having old-fashioned races.
A duel.
It's fun. It's super fun.
Not like going over Laurel Canyon or
it's not,
Coldwater.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
This is good. This is a good question from Christian Godby. What caused the creation of the cinematic masterpiece that is B-movie?
I was talking to Mario Joyner one day that I was watching a documentary about bees and the elegance of their social structure, the division of labor, the complexity of their manufacturing process of the honey, and how incredibly perfectly organized it is. The pollen, the bees that go out to get the pollen, how they tell the other bees where it is, and how they all work together. It's the most perfect society of living things on Earth, and the most complex, and it's flawless. No bee looks at another bee and goes, "Why does he have that job? I should have that job." And we started laughing about it. And then through a series of other circumstances, I ended up having dinner with Steven Spielberg, and there was a lull in the conversation. Do you know this story? There was a lull in the conversation, and I said, I had an idea the other day of doing a movie about bees called Bee Movie. And he said, "We're doing that movie." And the next thing I knew, I had a deal to make the movie and not a clue of what the hell to do.
No, you called me up.
Yeah.
He goes, "We're making an animated movie about bees. It's called Bee Movie." And I go, "Great. When do we start?" No one in history has pitched a movie like that and sold a movie like that over dinner.
It's the wrong way to do it, by the way. Don't ever make a movie like that.
We're doing it right now.
No, we're not. We had a story first. Come up with a story before you say, "I want to make a movie."
That's a good tip for you budding screenwriters. Come up with a story before you make the movie. That's very good. This one's for all of us, Zuckerman. Why don't you start? What is the best impulse buy that you've ever made?
Oh,
so you
good
bought
one.
it impulsively and it actually worked out.
Wow, that's a great question.
Oh, gosh. Let Jerry go, because everything I buy is impulsive. I've never really thought
So what's
about-
your biggest winner? The Mercedes 280?
Yeah.
That's your best.
You know what? And just now, the 993 with the 100 miles was completely, that was over and done. I was at lunch. Somebody sent me, this guy Shervanian sent me on Instagram, "Hey, did you see this car?" And within 20 minutes, I owned it. and within another half hour after that, it was dropped off. It happened to be going.
Oh,
it was
boy.
going from Scottsdale
Wow.
Oh,
up
that's
to
bad.
up to Santa Cruz. And the owner of the car, I called him, Tim Quacksister, and I said, "What's the deal with that car?" And he says, "It's on the outskirts of L.A. right now, and it could be in your garage in an hour." Done.
Wow.
That's cool.
That's
I like
a mainline hit.
Yeah. Oh, it hit me hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was once at Beverly Hills Porsche in the early 90s. The show was not really successful, but I had a show. 1992. I was in there getting a service, and they had two white cup cars. They go, "There's a race series, a 911 race series just got canceled, and there's 45 race cars that just got dumped, and we have to get rid of them, and we've got two of them. Do you want one?" And I walked in, they were in the service department, and the guy said, "This one seems to be a little nicer. They have two of them there." I said, "Yeah." They took me out for a ride, and it never had felt a race car on the road before in my life. It's very much like a 964 RS, almost identical. And I said, "Yeah, I'll take it." And that worked out great.
Yeah.
And now you bought that car back.
I bought it back 3 times, sold it 3 times, bought it 3 times. It's now out in the wild. I don't have it anymore, but I have. That's
You sold it again?
Yeah, I sold it again. Because I like the RS better. I don't know if it's better, but in my mind it's better than the Cup car. But they're great.
Wow.
The ultimate 911, 964 RS or Cup car.
Zuckerman, I have to compliment you because that car had 100 miles on it. What made it special was that it had 100 miles and nobody was driving it. And you're driving it a lot, aren't you?
I've got it up to 450, I think, at this point.
And the goal?
Is to drive. I want 100,000 miles
That's
before
so
I die.
great. You see, listen to that. That's it.
It's a great car.
Whoever owned that
Yeah.
car saved it for Zuckerman. Zuckerman worked his ass off to pay for it. Now he's going to enjoy the wine. He's going to drink it. That's what you do with these cars.
You
find
really
them and drive
reached
them.
back through time and grabbed a brand new car from 30 years ago.
That's amazing.
25.
That's inspiring. I'm getting emotional.
And it works. You realize I started my practice right about that time.
right.
When I went into business on my own.
Yes.
And I think in 1996, this car's in 96, I made
Yeah.
$7,500. That's what my take home was. The idea that I could
year?
own
A year or
Yeah.
a week?
a year, and I had to
Or a minute.
and then at the end of the year, I had to go to the shrink and get nervous pills because
Here's a box of nervous pills.
Yeah, when you get nervous,
It was
crush
written
them.
on there with magic marker on masking tape.
Snort these pills up.
I was quaking like a chihuahua. This isn't going to work.
Wow.
Well, I'll posit this theory while we're here, which I've already kind of stated. All of this stuff is the frustration of humanity that we have no control over time. And the classic car hobby gives us a way to, in some ways, manipulate time.
Yep.
That's what it's about.
Yep. Mine is the old Land Rover. Bought it by mistake, eBay auction, bidding while I was writing a script, and then won it. And the surprise regret was caught by my wife, who walked in the door, and she saw my face. She goes, "What did you just buy?" It was her best detective work ever. And I said, "Did you buy that truck?" And it was that old Land Rover, and I love that thing.
15 grand?
No, it was $6,000.
$6,000.
I had just bought 8-Ball too. I had no business buying anything.
Wow.
And then the truck, I called the guys. I said, I didn't even look at this. It just looked great. And they go, it's really not a good truck. But it's down in Sherman Oaks. It was right next door to 8-Ball where it was being worked on. And I've been so happy with that truck ever since. It
Love
works
that
out. It works out every once in a while. Sometimes. Well, that's our show, gentlemen.
But there was one more. There was one question I really liked.
Go ahead, ask it. And then we'll
Jerry,
go out on
what
it.
car do you like? What's your favorite car to drive through a tunnel?
I like loud, exhausty cars through tunnels.
I don't, and I
EP3s.
hate the guys that do.
Another stupid question. Thank you, Zuckerman.
You're channeling Johnny Lieberman.
Stupid.
You're channeling Johnny Zuckerman. What happened?
Stupid.
We had a good ending there. And now what? You ended it on
Stupid.
your tunnel madness. What's your favorite tunnel car?
Yeah, why don't
Tell
you
us.
rev the engine at a red light, too, and impress everybody?
Vroom, vroom, vroom. Well, Jerry, it's always a pleasure having you on the show. The listeners love it that you're taking time out of your busy week after performing all day on stage.
It's great to talk to the similarly afflicted.
That's what we hear all the time. That's the feedback I get all the time.
Yeah.
Is that boy, Jerry's just like me. Just like me. You guys, you're just like me.
Yeah,
And that's why we make the
it's
show.
fun.
To show you we're just as sick as you are out there. We love you.
It's a good problem.
Thanks for sending in questions. We'll see you next week on Spike's Car Radio.
Thanks for listening to Spike's Car Radio, brought to you by Hangar 56. Listen to new episodes every Wednesday, and be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
You've worked hard for what you have. Your money, your assets, your 401k, and home. Isn't it all worth protecting? Nearly 1 in 4 consumers have been a victim of identity theft. LifeLock Ultimate Plus helps protect your finances with up to $3 million in reimbursement. LifeLock alerts you to identity threats you might miss. And if your identity is stolen, your dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. Let LifeLock help protect what you've worked so hard for. Save 25% off your first year on LifeLock Ultimate Plus at LifeLock.com/aware. Terms apply.
Shopify helps you sell at every stage of your business. Like that, let's put it online and see what happens stage.
And the site is live.
That we opened a store and need a fast checkout stage.
Thanks. You're all set.
That count it up and ship it around the globe stage.
This one's going to Thailand.
And that, wait, did we just hit 1 million orders stage? Whatever your stage, businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 a month trial at shopify.com/listen.